Mark Sullivan was a man caught between two worlds, one of past traumas he couldn't forget, and the other of a mundane existence he wished to escape. Nestled in the embrace of his dimly lit office in Rogers, Arkansas, he gazed down at the solitary photograph before him. A junkyard replete with decomposing vehicles and rusting scraps lay still under the leaden Arkansas sky. The phone on his desk trilled, shaking him from his contemplation. "Sullivan," he rasped, his voice as rough as the 5 o'clock shadow dusting his jawline. "Mr. Sullivan, this is Marlene. Got a new case for you," the voice on the other end announced. "Arsenal trafficking," she continued. "Local junkyard. Rogers PD's swamped with other cases." Her voice was imbued with a rush of urgency. Mark let out a sigh, rubbing the creases between his brows, a trademark of years spent deciphering secrets. The silence lingered, and he could almost hear Marlene's eyebrows rising over the line. "Sure, Marlene, I'll handle it," he replied. Just as he replaced the receiver, he noticed the photograph again. The image, a crude mesh of metal and dust, seemed to mock his existence, a chaotic representation of his own life. His gaze softened, and he allowed the memories to wash over him. He was a man of kindness, of selflessness, a trait that often seemed a contradiction to his profession. He remembered the victims he'd fought for, the innocence he'd saved, the smiles that momentarily healed his wounded heart. Yet the specter of loss was never far. He would close his eyes, and there she was, Emily, his dear wife, as alive as the memory of her death. His hands clenched around the photograph as he wrestled with the pain, the guilt. He had been a bystander, a spectator in the cruel drama of life and death. It wasn't a memory, but a haunting, relentless ghost. It was this guilt that propelled him toward redemption. This desire had taken form in mending the frayed threads binding him to his estranged daughter, Maya. A relationship left to the elements of time and distance, much like the rusted relics populating the junkyard in the photograph. Shaking his head free from the cobwebs of the past, he refocused his gaze on the photograph. He had a case to solve, a purpose to serve. "All right, Mark, time to dive into another mess," he murmured to himself, a determined glint sparking in his eyes. He tucked the photograph into his jacket, the fabric mimicking his heartbeats, erratic yet alive. It was a bone-chilling morning in Rogers. Mark found himself in the heart of the junkyard that felt like a mosaic of discarded memories and rusted dreams. He navigated through the maze of scrapped vehicles, old refrigerators, and mangled bicycles, each narrating their own tale of neglect. In the heart of this man-made wilderness, he began his investigation. From clandestine meetings with whistleblowers to painstakingly collecting evidence, each day brought him closer to the truth. Yet, with every passing day, a sense of disquiet started to pervade his thoughts, a hint of a hushed symphony that grew louder with each sunset. A veteran of reading between the lines of reality, he felt his understanding of the world around him start to wobble. Night after night, he found himself imprisoned within peculiar dreams. Dreams where cosmic entities with incomprehensible geometries danced, and the stars whispered cryptic lullabies. He woke up drenched in cold sweat, his breath hitching, his mind rebelling against the strangeness. "They're just dreams, side effects of overworking. That's all," he muttered to his reflection, brushing off the fear niggling at the back of his mind. But even as he did, he found himself tracing the outline of a monstrous entity from his dreams on the steamy bathroom mirror, its form as elusive as a half-remembered melody. In stark contrast to these new eerie experiences, his efforts to mend his relationship with Maya bore fruit. Through phone calls that lasted hours and weekend visits to her college, he found himself slowly bridging the chasm of estrangement. One such visit found him sitting across Maya in a quaint cafe, his fingers absent-mindedly rotating the coffee mug. Maya, a young woman with her mother's eyes, was saying something about her course, but the words barely registered. His mind was still ensnared in the echo of his morning dream, a silhouette of an otherworldly creature superimposed on his daughter's animated face. He blinked hard, forcing the image away. "I'm listening, sweetheart," he reassured her, a lopsided smile tracing his lips. Maya tilted her head, becoming a mirror image of her mother's quizzical gaze. "You okay, Dad? You look distant." Mark nodded, offering a muted laugh. "Just work stuff." She studied him for a moment, then nodded, diving back into her narrative. He listened, the echo of his daughter's laughter, a soothing balm for the strange dreams threatening to unbalance his life. The days turned into a blur of strange visions and mundane realities. A persistent question began to surface in his weary mind. Could there be a hidden connection between the cosmic horrors he dreamt of and the weapon dealings he was investigating? The threads of reality seemed to intertwine with the spectral strands of his nightmares, crafting a tapestry he couldn't decipher yet. As he wrapped up another late-night inspection of the junkyard, he found himself standing before a massive pile of metal scrap. The moon's glow gave it an otherworldly appearance, reminiscent of the cosmic entities from his dreams. He shivered, a sense of dread creeping under his skin. Maybe, just maybe, this isn't as mundane as I thought, he whispered into the void, unaware of how prophetic his words were. Unseen, the moon hid behind a cloud, casting the junkyard into an uncanny darkness, an eerie prelude to the heart of the looming chaos. As the relentless clockwork of days and nights unfurled, Mark's journey continued, his feet stepping deeper into the underbelly of a reality uncharted. Clues unfolded from the seemingly ordinary junkyard. A hidden compartment filled with illegal armaments here, an arcane symbol etched into the dirt there. Each revelation spun an intricate web, shadowy tendrils linking the mundane to the extraordinary. One evening, as twilight weaved its gray tapestry over the junkyard, he stumbled upon a chilling discovery. Hidden amidst the heaps of refuse was a shrine-like alcove, housing a peculiar artifact, a twisted piece of metal resembling the monstrous entities that haunted his dreams. His heart hammered against his chest, the coldness of fear turning his blood to ice. His dreams weren't mere figments of an overworked mind. They were premonitions, visions bridging the chasm between his world and something infinitely more complex, infinitely more terrifying. His initial fear gave way to a strange determination. If the nightmares were a key to unraveling this mystery, he would use them. For the sake of his town, for the sake of his daughter, he would brave the tempest of cosmic horrors. As he wrestled with this new revelation, another unexpected transformation took root. The strained relationship with Maya was beginning to heal. She became an anchor in his tumultuous reality, a lighthouse piercing through the tempest. Their conversations were no longer mere exchanges. They became lifelines, sustaining him amidst the escalating chaos. During a weekend visit, they found themselves at the edge of Beaver Lake, their silence echoing in the serene landscape. Maya, her eyes reflecting the calming blues of the water, broke the silence. "You've changed, Dad. You're more here, not as lost in your thoughts." Mark smiled, gazing at the tranquil lake. "I am trying, Maya. Trying to fix the mistakes I've made. With you, with Emily." His voice faltered, the wound still fresh. Maya rested her head on his shoulder as a silent acknowledgement, a silent acceptance of his remorse and his effort to mend the broken ties. Meanwhile, the cosmic horrors weren't content being mere specters in his dreams. They began to bleed into his waking hours. Shadows seemed to twist into unspeakable shapes. Whispers echoed when no one was around, and a constant feeling of being watched pervaded his senses. The nightmares and the real world intertwined, creating a surreal landscape that only he could perceive. Undeterred, he continued his investigation. Armed with his newfound understanding of the cosmic horrors and his unwavering resolve, he confronted the nefarious network operating under the guise of a junkyard. A deadly cat-and-mouse game ensued, every encounter pushing him closer to the heart of darkness. Mark found himself standing at the threshold of the junkyard, the once benign wasteland, now a menacing labyrinth, a portal into the realms of cosmic horror. Yet, behind the seemingly insurmountable challenge, there lay an odd sense of exhilaration, a thrill that sent an electric pulse through his veins. He knew he had become an unlikely hero in an even more unlikely tale. His fate entwined with that of an entity from the depths of the cosmos. His investigation, fueled by courage and an uncanny understanding of his visions, gradually unveiled the shadowy cabal operating behind the junkyard's rusty facade. Leveraging his dreams, he managed to anticipate their sinister operations, intervening at critical junctures, disrupting their nefarious plans. Each confrontation, each unexpected triumph left them baffled, their frustration palpable in the cool Arkansas air. One afternoon, over a hurried lunch at a bustling diner, he found himself wrestling with an intense vision. The cosmic horrors infiltrated his reality, a spectral ballet unfolding right there between the clinking cutlery and murmuring patrons. He clenched his fists, trying to anchor himself to the mundane, but the visions were overwhelmingly vivid. He could almost touch the shape-shifting entity, its form a cruel mockery of Euclidean geometry, its gaze a swirling vortex threatening to swallow him. Maya, observant as ever, held his hand. "Dad, you're far away again," she said, her voice threaded with concern. Mark blinked, the vision receding, leaving him back in the clamor of the diner. "Just a headache," he replied, offering her a weak smile. He couldn't tell her the truth, couldn't let her take part in his nightmarish reality. As days dissolved into nights and the dreams grew more potent, he realized a harrowing truth. The Cabal was not merely dealing in weapons, they were acolytes of the cosmic entity. They believed the beast they worshipped would grant them unimaginable power. He shivered at the thought. This wasn't just a game of cat and mouse anymore. It was a race against time to prevent the waking of an ancient horror. Night descended on Rogers, cloaking the world in an inscrutable shroud. The junkyard lay under the gaze of an unfathomable cosmos, its tranquility a facade for the tempest about to unfold. Mark, standing at the heart of the storm, felt an unprecedented calm. His dreams had prepared him for this moment, his path converging with an ancient entity from the stars. The air was thick with anticipation, a silent lull before the world tipped over into the abyss of chaos. Just as midnight struck, the Cabal emerged, their robes dancing in the wind, their chants slicing through the silence. Hidden in the shadows, he observed as they circled the twisted artifact, their words a grotesque symphony summoning the unseen menace. His heart hammered in his chest, not from fear, but determination. He stepped forward, his voice booming through the junkyard. "Stop! This ends tonight!" Surprised faces turned towards him, their chants faltering. He stood firm, his eyes locked onto theirs. This was his stand, his final confrontation. Even as he defied the Cabal, his mind teetered on the edge of reality and dreams, his senses heightened, his understanding of the cosmic horror his only weapon. A struggle ensued, but he was relentless. He battled with every ounce of his will, the strength of his resolve channeled into each parry and attack. At the same time, he wrestled with his dreams, the monstrous entity's whispers growing louder in his mind, the vision of the Cabal's twisted artifact echoing ominously. Yet amidst the chaos, a sliver of sanity held him grounded. Maya's laughter, Emily's loving memory, the fear of losing his beloved town to these cosmic horrors. He fought not as a lone investigator, but as a father, a protector, a savior. As the physical confrontation raged on, a separate battle unfolded within his psyche. The cosmic entity beckoned, its formless whispers an inviting abyss. He resisted, his dreams intertwining with his present, forming a labyrinth that he navigated with an unyielding resolve. He was not merely an observer of these horrors now. He was a participant. The climax arrived as suddenly as a thunderclap. As the last of the Cabal fell, Mark stood before the artifact. He felt its otherworldly pull, the whispers of Oblivion growing louder. With a final surge of determination, he grabbed the artifact, the touch searing his flesh. Yet he held on, his defiance resonating against the cosmic horror. The world held its breath. A cosmic scream echoed through the night, the entity recoiling from his unyielding resistance. A pulse of energy radiated from the artifact, and then there was silence. The artifact crumbled to dust. The cosmic entity retreated, its menacing whispers silenced. He collapsed, exhaustion overtaking him, yet a triumphant smile curved his lips. He had prevailed, and had prevented the waking of an ancient horror. As the sun rose over Rogers, a new day dawned, a day untouched by the cosmic horror. The world was as mundane as it had been, and Mark Sullivan was just an investigator, a father, a man who had braved what was unfathomable. He visited Maya later that day, his battle scars a testament to his unspoken adventure. As he hugged her, he knew he had more than just confronted cosmic horrors. He had mended a relationship and had reconnected with his own humanity. The world moved on, unaware of the bullet they had dodged. The story of a kind, selfless man forever intertwined with the cosmic tapestry. Becoming a guardian of reality, he retreated into his ordinary life, carrying within him the extraordinary tale of his defiance against the whispers of Oblivion. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it and subscribe to our channel, where you can find more similar stories, and click on the bell icon to never miss one. There is plenty more cosmic horror to come from the Eldritch Tales Factory. Stay tuned, and until next time.